Sleep paralysis has a clinical explanation. Researchers will tell you it's a misfiring of the brain, a glitch between sleep and waking, nothing more. Tonight, I'm going to let you decide if you believe that. The third story, I need you to stay for the third story. Not because of what the person saw. Because of what they found afterward, in the room, that had no explanation. Stay with me. The Counting Man. I was 26, working overnight inventory at a distribution warehouse outside of Dayton, Ohio. Third shift, 5 nights a week. My sleep schedule was, there's no better word for it, destroyed. I'd get home around 6 in the morning, eat something I don't remember, and fall into bed with the curtains drawn against the daylight. This was February. The kind of February Ohio does where the sky is the same color as the road and everything smells like wet concrete. My apartment was a one-bedroom on the second floor of a building on Stanley Avenue. I mention that because the layout matters. The first time it happened, I thought it was just the shift work catching up to me. I woke up, or I thought I woke up, and I couldn't move. That's the only way to describe it. My body was concrete. My eyes were open. The room was dim, that grey February light pushing through the curtains, and I was staring at the ceiling, completely aware, completely unable to do anything about it. Then I heard the counting. Somewhere in the room, I couldn't turn my head to locate it, a voice was counting. Quietly. Almost gently. Like a parent counting something. 7. 8. 9. It wasn't panicked. It wasn't rushing. It had the cadence of someone who had done this before and had nowhere else to be. 10. 11. 12. I want to be careful about how I describe the voice, because I've thought about this for 2 years and I still can't place it. It wasn't a child. It wasn't quite an adult. It was patient in a way that felt wrong. Patient like something that doesn't experience time the way we do. The counting stopped at 19. I could move again. I sat up, heart hammering, and the room was empty. Just my dresser. My laundry pile. My closed closet door. I wrote it off. Sleep deprivation does things. It happened 3 more times over the next 6 weeks. Always the same counting. Always starting at 7. Sometimes it reached 14. Once it reached 23 before I could move. Each time the room was empty when I came back to myself. The last time, I had my phone on the nightstand. After it happened, I checked if I'd accidentally recorded anything. I hadn't hit record. But there was something else. My voice memos app had a new file I didn't create. 40 seconds long. Recorded at 8:47 in the morning while I was, according to everything I know about that day, asleep. I pressed play. Silence for the first 30 seconds. Then, at the very end, one word. My name. Said quietly. In that same patient, neither young nor old voice. Not a question. Not a greeting. Just, my name. Like something confirming a detail on a list. I moved out 2 months later. I've never had it happen in the new place. I don't know what that means. I'm trying not to think about what that means. The next story comes from North Carolina, and the person who sent it asked me to note it started the week they moved in. She was smiling at the wall. My husband and I bought our first house in the summer of 2021. Older home, built in the late 50s, in a neighborhood just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. We were told the previous owners had lived there for 40 years. An older couple. The wife had passed in the house, peacefully, in the master bedroom, which became our master bedroom. nobody thought to mention this until after closing. I'm not superstitious. I want to say that plainly because what I'm about to describe, I have no framework for it. I'm a physical therapist. My husband teaches high school chemistry. We are not people who believe in things without evidence. The sleep paralysis started about 3 weeks after we moved in. Mine, specifically. Not his. He slept fine every night from day one. Still does. The first episode, I woke at 3:10 a.m. I know the time because the clock on my side was directly in my eye line and that was the only thing I could look at. I couldn't move my arms, my legs, couldn't turn my head. The ceiling fan was on. I could feel the air. I could hear the street outside. I was fully conscious. She was standing in the far corner of the room. I say she because of the shape, narrow shoulders, a house dress, hair pinned up. She was facing the corner. The wall. Just standing there, looking at the place where the two walls met, a foot from the ceiling. The way a person stands in a room when they're deeply interested in something no one else can see. I tried to scream. Nothing. She didn't move. She just stood there, and I lay there, and we stayed like that for what felt like 4 or 5 minutes before I could pull myself upright. When I did, the corner was empty. I told my husband. He was kind about it. Suggested stress. The move. The adjustment. It happened again 9 days later. Same corner. Same posture. This time I noticed her head was tilted slightly, up and to the left, like she was reading something on the wall. The third time, I was ready for her. I had somehow stayed calm enough to really look. She turned her head. Not toward me. She turned it toward the window. And I could see just the profile. Just the edge of her face. And she was smiling. Not at anything. Just smiling the way people smile when they are remembering something pleasant. The paralysis released and I turned on every light in the room. A week later, I was repainting that corner. Rolling over the old cream color. And underneath, where the old paint was thin near the baseboard, I could see something. Writing. Faint pencil, from decades ago. A list of names. Family names, I think, the same last name repeated, different first names, with dates next to them. Births. I think they were births. There were 11 names on the list. The last entry was recent enough that the name was someone who could still be alive. I painted over it. I don't know why I did that. I think I just wanted it to be done. The woman in the corner hasn't come back since. I find that less comforting than I thought I would. The last story, from a listener in Minnesota, involves something I've never encountered in the years I've been reading these, and I want you to hear every word of it. What the mirror was doing. I need to say upfront that I've had sleep paralysis since I was a teenager. Grew up in central Minnesota, small town, family history of it on my mother's side. By the time I was 30 I had a whole system, controlled breathing, eye movement techniques I found in a medical journal. It wasn't fun, but I understood it. I wasn't afraid of it anymore. That changed in October of 2022. I was staying alone in my brother's house in Duluth while he and his wife were in Portugal for 2 weeks. Nice house. A newer build, maybe 10 years old. I was dog-sitting and working remotely. Nothing unusual about the arrangement. The first night I woke up paralyzed at 4:20 in the morning. My system kicked in immediately. I tracked the ceiling. I focused on breathing. I waited for it to pass. It passed within a minute. Normal. Fine. The second night, same thing. But when I went to focus on the ceiling, something in my peripheral vision stopped me. The mirror. My brother had a large standing mirror in the corner of the guest room, an antique piece, dark wood frame, 5 feet tall or so. I hadn't paid attention to it. It was just a mirror. But at 4:17 in the morning, with my body locked and my eyes working just fine, I could see my reflection in that mirror. And my reflection was sitting up. I was flat on my back. I knew I was flat on my back. I could feel the mattress against my spine. But in the mirror, I was sitting upright in the bed, and the reflected version of me was looking directly at the mirror, directly back at itself, with an expression I have never made in my life. I don't know how to describe it. Focused. Intent. Like it was watching something in the glass that I couldn't see from my angle. The paralysis broke. I didn't move. I lay there for a long time before I slowly sat up. My reflection did the same thing. Normal. Matched me exactly. Just a mirror. I turned the mirror to face the wall. I told myself I'd half-dreamed it. I told myself that confidently for exactly 3 days. On the 4th night it happened again. I know the mirror was facing the wall. I had checked it before I slept. But when I came out of the paralysis and sat up and looked at the corner, the mirror had turned itself back around. Not fully. Maybe 45 degrees. Enough that I was caught in its edge. Enough that I could see a sliver of the bed. I was in the reflection. Just my arm. The edge of my shoulder. And next to me, where no one was, there was a shape. Dark. Still. Sitting on the edge of the bed in a way that suggested weight, suggested presence, suggested it had been there for some time and was comfortable with that. I turned on the light. Empty room. Mirror facing the wall. Just as I'd left it. I slept on the couch for the rest of the 2 weeks. I didn't tell my brother. I still haven't told my brother. Before I left, I checked the mirror one more time in daylight, turning it over, looking at the back of it. Nothing strange. Old wood. Backing paper. Except in the lower right corner of the backing, written in something I'd rather not identify, a single 2-digit number. It was the number of nights I had slept in that room. 3 people. 3 different states. 3 experiences that science has a name for, but no explanation that fully holds. Sleep paralysis is common. What these people described is not. I want to ask you something tonight, and I want you to think before you answer. During sleep paralysis, if you've experienced it, have you ever seen something that was still there, in some form, after you could move again? Leave it in the comments. I read all of them. New stories arrive every night. Subscribe if you want them. Sleep well. Or try to.